Hi everyone and welcome to today's webinar. Today we'll be going through Maestro version 3.1 release notes. I hope everyone has a copy of the release notes in front of them. If you don't, you can download the release notes using GoToWebinar. We already have the release notes as a handout, which you should be able to download from the GoToWebinar control panel. Okay, so let's get started. New features and updates. So for general features and updates, the very first one is custom field tooltips. So we've introduced the ability for administrators to create tooltips for custom fields. You can add as many tooltips as you like for as many custom fields as you like. So I'm just navigating to the flight record setup and I'm going to add a tooltip. You can see there's already one here. But I'm going to add another tooltip for maybe the comments field. So let's navigate to the comments custom field and I'll click that edit button. This will bring up the comments settings for the custom field. We can see there's a little control tooltip with a little tick box here that says also show tooltip in view mode. So I'm going to tick that little box. I'm going to put in a little tooltip. And then I'm going to hit update. That will now add a little question mark, and if I hover my mouse over it, it shows my tooltip. So now if any user goes to submit a flight, they will see that tooltip when they get to that comments field. So a tooltip is really handy for giving users additional information when they're filling out any area of Maestro with custom fields. Okay, moving along, the next change is the increased username length. So we've increased the amount of characters you can assign a username. So individuals or personnel with access can change usernames by going into a user's profile, then going into personnel wizard. And then if you scroll down to the very bottom, we have the username text field. So now you can sort of change this to whatever length you would like. We had originally capped this to about 20 characters, I believe, but we've increased that by a fair bit. The next general change is updated tab appearance. So we've just changed the tab appearance in various areas of the system, in forms, hazard and risk register, and safety reporting. So let's just go to forms so we can see exactly what the new tab appearance looks like. Let's just submit a clinical mission form. And as you can see along the top there, the tabs look very different. Now they are a lot clearer in showing you exactly which tab you're currently looking at. I'll also show you the tab appearance in the hazard register. Again, we've updated the tabs in here to make it easier to view the risks as well. So you can see it's very clear that this is a risk due to its color. And then of course, knowing its color is green, we know that the risk is low. Or sorry, the risk is medium. That was the risk priority I read out earlier. Sorry about that. But yes, the risk, actually, sorry, the latest reviewed risk is actually low, which is why it's green. The initial risk was medium. So it makes it very clear to see exactly what that risk level is, purely based on the tab color. The last area with new tabs is, of course, the safety reporting. So let's open up the safety menu again and go into safety reports. And I'll open up a flight report. And we can see along here, we have that new tab appearance. Okay, moving along, we have made changes to the aircraft register. We've given users or administrators the ability to add new aircraft types. You can do so by going into the setup. I usually navigate to the setup using the cogs in the top right. Going further down, you have aircraft and aircraft type setup. Going into aircraft type setup from here, you can go through and enter in the aircraft code, the manufacturer, the model. You can select the description, select an engine count, as well as the engine type. Once you've filled all of this out, all you have to do is click on the Add as New, and that will add a new aircraft to the aircraft register. This is an aircraft type, by the way, as opposed to an individual aircraft. These are all the current types that are in the aircraft database. You can modify these existing aircraft types by finding the aircraft type you want to modify and clicking on this little pencil here. Doing so will open up the entire row for editing, and then you can just sort of go through and edit the manufacturer and model. Okay, the next feature in the aircraft register is the aircraft availability notifications. So you can see we have an aircraft notification setup tab along here. Let's just select that one. So you can set up aircraft notifications or serviceability notifications for when an aircraft goes online or offline based on the aircraft maintenance events module in the aircraft register. So if you take an aircraft offline, you can customize the email and SMS body, the information that gets sent to the recipients. You can see down here, you can specify Air Maestro recipients. Clicking on that little green plus sign will open up a new row. You select who you want to notify by email or SMS, and then just hit the plus sign again to add additional people. You can select external recipients as well. All you have to do is hit save once you've made those changes. Looks like I forgot to fill out that information, so I'll just remove that and hit save. And we can see that's been saved. You can modify the email body or the SMS body quite easily. All you have to do is start typing. And then of course you might notice we have a bunch of fields here as well that you can include in the email body and SMS body. Now these are all fields that the aircraft maintenance events captures when an aircraft goes offline or online. To add any of these particular fields into your email or SMS, all you got to do is sort of place your cursor where you want to add the text and then hit the applicable button. So you can see I've just added aircraft registration over and over again, and that will add the aircraft rego to the email right below the location. So what I might do is I might delete that and then hit save. I might also remove jsmith@gmail in case that's an actual email address. You might notice you can set up the notifications for both aircraft serviceable and aircraft unserviceable. Okay, that was it for the aircraft register. Moving along to check forms, we've made one change to the check forms, and that is to allow authorized sign-off personnel to be overwritten by the examiner. So going back into the setup screen, let's go to Recency check form setup, and then we'll go to check form options, and then of course at the very bottom of the check form options, you might notice we have this new allow examiner to override sign-off personnel. So let's quickly go to a check form, see if we can find an existing one where I'm the examiner. Here we go, there's one here that's awaiting sign-offs, but let's see if we can find another one. You know what, let's just submit a new one. So let's create a new base check. I'll make sure I'm the examiner. Let's set Dan Lee as the examinee. Let's just quickly fill this out. All right, cool, and let's save that. What are we missing? Oh, okay. Oops, we don't want to do that. Cool, so it's a 30-minute check. Now that we've saved that, if I scroll down to the very bottom, you can see we have the refresh authorized sign-off requirements, as well as override authorized sign-off personnel. So let's click on override authorized sign-off personnel. That will allow me to override the sign-off personnel. So the current sign-off personnel is Alex Bannis. Let's remove her. I believe you can even save. So I've completely removed Alex from sign-off personnel. You can see that down there. Now that I've changed it, authorized sign-off personnel is locked. So that is something that's worth noting, that once you've changed the authorized sign-off personnel, it does lock it. So you can only change it once. Now that I've requested sign-off, I can sign off on this particular check form. And that sign-off and that check form has been signed off. Now it's just waiting for one more person to sign it off, and then we're pretty much good to go. Okay, so those were the changes for the check forms. Let's go down to the next item on the list, and that's the document library. So we've made one minor change in the document library, and that's to allow the document version number to allow alphanumeric characters. So previously, the document version number would only allow numbers, but now we actually allow letters as well. So if I just revise this scoping process document, let's replace this one with this file here. I can now change the version number to add a letter. Okay, moving along. We've made a change to global reporting. Now this is one of our larger changes for Maestro version 3.1, and that's of course allowing you to schedule reports to be sent via email. So let's say you have a global report that you run fairly often. Let's say you run this report once a month and you'd like the data to be emailed to you. Step 5 is now report schedule as opposed to, or schedule, as opposed to report viewer. Report viewer has been moved to step 6. So if you tick this little box, you can enable scheduling, and then of course you can put in an email address, select what format you'd like the report sent as, and then of course you can specify when you would want the sort of the date parameters for the report, so for the data. You can also specify when you would like this sent, so you can say like every Monday, and after 10 occurrences, for example. Hit next, it will ask you if you want to save, just hit OK. And that will take you to the report viewer. And now every Monday, well, I don't really want to receive this, so let's just spam someone else. There we go. Nina's going to be happy about that. So now what will happen is that Nina will get an email from Maestro every Monday, and it will essentially be this flight summary report. So let's just run this for February. And let's see the report she gets. So she will essentially receive this report as a CSV file every single Monday. Well, 10 times, I believe. I've set this to. Yeah, 10 occurrences. So that was the change we made to global reporting. The next few changes are in relation to leave and entitlements. So the first one is deselecting weekends and public holidays. I will show you that later. That is when an individual would apply for leave. In the leave setup, however, we have a few new changes, especially when it comes to the wording. So Down here, we have leave period is entered using either last day of work and first day back, or first and last day of leave. Previously, it was always set to last day of work and first day back, and this confused a few people. So, we added an additional option to allow them to specify the first and last day of leave, which is a lot simpler for a lot of people. So now if I go to request leave, I'll just go into my profile and go to entitlements. I can apply for annual leave. Let's apply for leave super far in advance. Let's say I want all of April off. Whoops. Like so. You can see all the days that it's highlighting. And then of course there was that other feature I mentioned earlier, which is to deselect weekends and public holidays. So if I click there, that deselects Saturday and Sunday. Then I can submit and send in that leave approval. So those were the two features. There's one more feature, and that is of course that the leave type drop-down list no longer shows inactive leave type. So that was an issue with Maestro that we've just recently solved. Now, a lot of people might also ask, where do they put in all of the public holidays? So that's in the personnel setup. So if you go to personnel setup, we have a public holidays setup section, and all you have to do is click the add public holiday, and you can add as many public holidays as you like. You can set them to be base specific, and then of course all you have to do is assign the date. You can see that there. Okay, moving along, we've made one change to the recency module, in particular company recency. So let's go back to recency setup. Now let's go into company recency. So one of the changes we've made, let's just open up this one. I believe I've set this one up in advance. Yes, here we go. Okay, so previously there was no option to specify at least X number of months apart. But now we've included this option, so you can create recency items for company recency, sort of like this, where you have 2 items required in a 24-month period, and the 2 items need to be at least 10 months apart. So that is one of the new features we've added to company recency. Moving along to recency dashboards. So this is not a change that you can actually sort of visually see. It is a change that we made in the back end. It is what we refer to as data caching, which is just another fancy way of saying improve the sort of memory that recency dashboards use to increase performance. So, previously when we released recency dashboards, it was a little bit slow, but we've essentially optimized the way it works to make it sort of use more of the memory from your computer. So it stores more memory on your computer, which makes it run faster as opposed to always going back to our servers. So that's the change we've made to the recency dashboards. Recency scheduling. So we've added one basic change to recency scheduling. So if I go into my profile, my recency, one change we've made to recency scheduling is the ability to specify multiple trainers. So previously in Maestro, you could only specify one person as a trainer for a recency item, but now you can specify multiple. And then of course, all the trainers will get notified, as well as the individual, letting them know that training has been scheduled. All right, going further down, we've made one change to the roster, and that is to allow you to fill out a import template, and then you can sort of import that template into Maestro. So you can essentially populate your roster using a CSV file. Now, the format that the CSV file requires is outlined in the release notes. However, we can provide you with a CSV file template which you can fill out and then, of course, use that to populate your roster. So instead of having to go through the roster in Maestro to populate it, you can, let's say if you're working offline and you don't have access to Maestro, but you still want to work on the roster, and if you well, remember a lot of the different shift code IDs and things like that, you can actually go through and populate a CSV file, which Air Maestro will then read and populate the roster with. Okay, the very last feature that we've added in Air Maestro version 3.1 is to do with safety reporting, and in particular SMS notifications. And that is, of course, to include the safety report title when an SMS notification is sent out. So now when a safety report is submitted and an SMS text message is sent out to the applicable personnel or notification personnel, they will now see the report title in the SMS message. So those were all the changes that we've made to Air Maestro version 3.1. Feel free to go through the release notes and to review those changes in more detail. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in contact with us, either via email or feel free to give us a call at the help desk. The help desk email is help@avinet.com.au. That is help@avinet.com.au, and the help desk number is +618 8100 1166. That's +618 8100 1166. Thank you for your time today, guys. Really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your night.